Hi guys, my name is Sandy and today I want to talk to you about rage quitting. Have you ever done it? Have you ever quit a job in rage and stormed out? Or does it remain a fantasy you play in your head over and over again each time you have a bad day at work? Join in on the conversation by leaving me a comment below letting me know all about it. I would love to hear from you. With this great resignation we're experiencing at a time when people are quitting their jobs more than ever, some of them are rage quitting, I think it's about time we talked about what happens when things get so bad, when workers are so fed up that they just can't take it anymore and lash out. I'll talk about when it's okay to rage quit a job and why most people believe it is better to take a deep breath, count to 10 and take it down a notch. Or 10. Because the truth is, rage quitting is frowned upon. People consider it unprofessional and it's just not the done thing. But imagine this, you have just had a particularly nasty showdown with your boss and they're just walking away from you. They've really outdone themselves this time to make you feel like crap and you are biting your tongue not to tell them where they can shove that attitude. And then, unlike the other 597 times you managed to swallow your rage down, you don't. You get up, you throw everything you've got in front of you in the air and you shout, "You know what? Do it yourself, you jerk," followed by those magic words, "I quit." You pick up all your belongings and walk out. Everyone is watching you with their jaws on the floor, unable to react. And as that door closes behind you for the last time, you take a deep breath and you smile. You are finally free, you've done it. Is that how your daydream goes? For me, it was the last job I had before deciding to do it on my own for good. I was a school manager and things were great at first, when the school first opened, but as time went by, I was asked to do more and more things, to wear all sorts of hats so that the company could save money. Soon enough, I was exhausted and doing work I absolutely hated, so I ended up resigning, but I still offered to stay on until the end of the school year so they could find a replacement and I could train them. And that's when things started to take a turn for the worst. Suddenly, my payments were getting inexplicably delayed every month. A lot of blunders were happening on their part that had never happened before and always to my detriment. And I was being asked to do more and more and work longer and longer each day until I realized they weren't planning on hiring someone and paying 2 salaries. They just wanted me to do as much as they could add to my plate and then hire a replacement, regardless of how prepared they would be. Well, let's just say I rage quit and revoked my offer to stay on for longer than my notice required. And that notice had come and gone. Then I walked off and completely ghosted them after that, and nothing this impulsive ever felt this good. A quick disclaimer though, I am in no way advising you to rage quit or telling you in any way you should do it, okay? Your life is your own. You are in the driver's seat and only you can decide what's best for you, okay? Now, I guess the best place to start is to talk about what rage quitting looks like. It's as simple as quitting a job on what looks like an impulse, without any notice, because you feel angry or upset in any way. It can involve a confrontation, or in most extreme cases, some people will even go as far as ghosting their employers and simply stop answering their phones, or showing up. This is particularly true for hourly workers. And while there are some countries like Germany where you can't just quit a job without notice, in the US, this is more common due to there being more flexible, shall we say precarious, working arrangements. And this may be why so many workers are rage quitting in the Great Resignation and why industries like retail and hospitality are struggling to find workers. Essentially because, they are underpaid and mistreated and bosses are used to having loads of candidates for a vacancy each time someone quits. But that's just not the case anymore, is it? Then on the other hand, you have the higher skilled workers who were already overworked and exhausted before the pandemic and now feel like they're working longer than ever. I mean, how many people do you know who are working from home and have bosses who just don't care about working hours and keep calling and emailing them at all times? And it's not just the lower level workers either. Management is also under a lot of pressure, if not more, to make things happen and deliver on the company's objectives. They're working from home, often juggling homeschooling, trying to keep their family safe and, just trying to live the best they can with all the limitations caused by this pandemic. People are tired, overworked, and their fuses are just shorter than ever. It's harder and harder to put things in perspective and calm down. And let's not forget that for these unsatisfied, fed-up workers, it is so much easier to send an email or hang up a phone call than to quit in person like they had to do when they were working back at the office. Add the pandemic to the mix and you have millions of workers quitting because they just don't feel safe and they don't feel like their bosses are doing enough to protect them in any way. And then you have the overworked remainers, the working dead, the people who who didn't quit their jobs at first, who stayed on, and are now forced to take on more and more work and more responsibilities, often without any improvement in their working arrangements at all. People are feeling more lost and adrift than ever. Rage quitting is their way to take back control of their lives, their time, and their self-respect. Now, if you want to know more about the Great Resignation, or the Big Quit as they call it, and about the working dead, I am leaving a link below to the Great Resignation series so you can get caught up to what's happening in the world right now. So, in my opinion, there are some occasions when it's definitely okay to rage quit. Starting with the obvious karma is a you-know-what situations. Let me put it this way, there is no question that rage quitting creates a lot of difficulties for employers and co-workers alike. But if you find yourself in a situation when you are being mistreated in any way, disrespected by management, undervalued, underpaid, regardless of how many times you have tried to improve your situation, if you are being abused by your bosses or your co-workers, if the work culture there is just toxic, then walk away. They should have thought of it before treating you the way they did. Also, when the company you work for is seriously flawed, and I'm talking about bad leadership, obsessive micromanagement, and just no clear direction in your work. Essentially, when you know your career isn't leading anywhere, that your work serves no particular purpose, then you're just wasting your time. Yes, of course you can plan your exit and do it properly. My point is, if a situation arises that you find yourself wanting to cause a major scene and just storm off, just do it. Next, when you have some sort of emergency or family crisis and your employer doesn't respect that or allow you the time and the space to sort it out, in that case, just leave. Some things are just so much more important. And of course, you should definitely rage quit when you find out your employer expects you to do something illegal. Say heck to the no and make like a tree and leave. Talking about risky activities, it definitely is okay to rage quit a job if you've been put at risk in any way. This is particularly important during these current times. If you feel like your company isn't doing enough to keep you safe, if they aren't following the rules as strictly as they should, you should definitely go. And the same goes for your mental health. If you're feeling burned out, exhausted, sick, stretched thin, then you absolutely need to put yourself first and be as dramatic in doing it as you possibly can. Next, it's okay to quit and rage if you've actually been thinking about it for a while, if you've been preparing for it, but wanted to do things the right way. Sometimes things happen that throw all your best laid plans out the window. I'm willing to bet that any situation that makes a worker rage quit has been a long time coming, has been building up for a while. And if that's the case, you know what to do. And of course, it goes without saying, you can definitely cause a scene and leave in rage if you either have a better offer or another source of income, in which case there is absolutely no need to put up with a situation that's making you feel so angry and so outraged. You just want to storm off in anger. Now, I sincerely hope you won't storm off in anger if I ask you to give this video a thumbs up, if you're enjoying it, of course. That way, YouTube would know to show it to other people, and it would be a great help in making this channel grow. You can also subscribe, of course, to get all the freshest content as soon as I publish it. Now, for the reasons why you should probably think this through, if you're able to, in the middle of all that anger. The first and most obvious one is it makes you look unprofessional. And you know how things go, people talk, and soon enough, everyone will know about it, which can get you a bad reputation with future employers. And as far as future employment goes, rage quitting means burning bridges. You never truly know what tomorrow brings. Let's say you're quitting because of your manager. They don't own the company, do they? So it is possible for you to return to that company in the future in a totally different capacity. Heck, you may even return as their manager, but not if you burn bridges with that company. And then there are the recommendation letters and the fact that often companies like to contact your previous boss and ask about you, particularly if it's within the same industry. Then saying you let them hang in and enrage quit will not go down well. Yes, the job market is very hot right now and it is catering to workers instead of employers, but there is no way of telling how long this will last, which means you may struggle to find a job. Inflation is on the rise and Feds are considering raising interest rates, meaning things may change soon. Now, another obvious reason why you may not want to rage quit is the loss of salary and benefits. If you don't have a plan, savings, or anything to hold you off until you find yourself a new job, some restraint might be required to make sure you don't get into trouble and end up having to take on a job you don't want that's even worse. Also, make sure you read your contract very carefully. Some contracts may force you to give notice before quitting. You may have to stay on for a little while longer, regardless of how bad things are and how much you want to throw it all in the air and walk away. So, what do you say? Now that you have all the pros and all the cons, would you do it? Would you let your temper get the best of you and get the satisfaction of telling your boss exactly what you think of them and storming off? Before you go, don't forget to watch the other Great Resignation series like this one about the working dad and the way they can improve their situation. That is it for me today, and I will see you over there. Bye bye!